Hello developers, welcome back to Code with AI. Today in this video we are going to explore OpenAI Assistant API, the basic concepts and some more advanced concept in Assistant API. Actually, Assistant API help us to build assistant with OpenAI models like GPT-4, GPT-4o and GPT-4o mini. So let's create a Python file in your any code editor. This is VS Code, guys. So here I'm creating a Python file assistant API tutorial.py and press enter. So our file is created and we are going to code here. First, let's write in comments what we are going to do in this video. So this is OpenAI Assistant API tutorial for beginners. This is the perfect tutorial for the beginners because we will cover all basic concepts like threads, messages, and runs and some assistant functions. And this video also cover tools of function calling of Assistant API. There are three tools in Assistant API: function calling, retrieval or knowledge retrieval, and code interpreter. We will cover only function calling here. So let's write it. This tutorial include or of this tutorial of Assistant API include function calling, with Assistant API. Okay, sometimes function calling is very complex in chat completion API. So if you want to watch how to do function calling with the chat completion API, you can watch my previous videos. So subscribe my channel. I have many videos on OpenAI API tutorial in Python language only. Okay, let's write the requirements for this Assistant API tutorial. The first requirement is Python, the Python language. Okay, Python language is very easy to learn and having a clean syntax like English. So you can install Python by writing a command winget install Python for Windows only. Okay, for Linux you can write pkg or apt install Python, and that's all for you. If you have a Mac, you can search on Google because I don't have a Mac. And the second requirement is OpenAI Python library. You can install OpenAI Python library after installing the Python. Okay, to install OpenAI Python library, write in command section or terminal pip install OpenAI and press enter. After this, OpenAI Python library latest version will install. Okay, requirements I think is done. Next we have to import the library like OpenAI library. So let's import OpenAI Python library. From OpenAI import OpenAI. O is capital, AI is capital. Okay guys, please note it. Okay, after that I have to import my keys from keys module that I have created, because I write all my OpenAI API keys in my keys module keys.py, because I don't want to share my OpenAI API keys in this video. So I installed from keys import OpenAI API key. You also have to import some pre-installed Python modules like import time, import JSON, and import OS. So this is 3 lines for importing some libraries. Guys, you don't have to write this line from keys import OpenAI API key. I just write it because I saved my OpenAI API key here. You have to write your OpenAI key or paste your OpenAI API key here. Okay, let's do that. Okay, here I'm writing a comment, paste your OpenAI API key. API key. You have to paste your OpenAI key here, the line below this comment. Okay, let's create an object with client equals to OpenAI and bracket. In bracket you have to write OpenAI API key equals to, you have to paste your OpenAI API key here. If you don't know how to create OpenAI account and OpenAI API key for free or for paid, you can watch this video. You can click on I button and watch this video. In this double quote, you have to paste your OpenAI API key. I imported my OpenAI API key in OpenAI API key variable, so I can write here API key equals to OpenAI API key. So guys, we created our OpenAI API key authentication successfully. Now you have to paste your assistant ID. Okay, you don't have to create any assistant ID from OpenAI website. I will teach you how to create assistant ID here with Python code. You can copy from your terminal the assistant ID. For now, I giving assistant ID equals to none for now only. When I have the assistant ID, I will paste here. Okay. If you have your assistant ID, if you created the assistant from OpenAI website, you also paste here. Okay, you can also paste here. So let's create a class with assistant name, E capital assistant. Okay, this is our assistant class. First, we have to define some variable like functions equals to, because I'm writing here functions for the function calling procedure. Functions equals to a dictionary element, and here the functions, the dictionary key, and the value is a empty list because we are going to append some function info in this list. Okay, next is registered function. Registered function contain the function available, contain the name of the function available for function calling in our code. Okay, not in OpenAI models info. So registered function equals to a dictionary element and an empty dictionary element. Okay, let's create a initialize function for our assistant class. Def dash dash init and self. Here we are creating in a variable name self.thread equals to thread id. I will update this variable thread id when we will create thread id in our code, because the thread id will create when we run this file and also delete it after this file is exit, or we press Ctrl plus C to stop this file, because we are going to create a while loop for our assistant like a chatbot interaction. Okay guys, this self.thread id equals to thread id. Next we are going to create a function of create assistant. This is the main function in which we are going to create an assistant that give us the thread id, the assistant id. So assistant equals to client dot beta dot assistants dot create, and in brackets you have to write some info about your assistant, like first info is your name of the assistant, instruction, and some other. Okay, let's write name equals to alpha. Okay, you can write any name for your assistant. Okay, I'm writing here alpha, and instruction are the like the custom instruction you can write for your assistant, like here I'm writing that alpha is my personal assistant, that you are alpha my personal assistant. Okay, we have given the name and instruction to our assistant. And we created OpenAI. Okay, let's select the model. We have to select the model. We can select the model like in GPT-4o, GPT-4o mini, and GPT-4. I'm selecting the model GPT-4o mini, which is the latest model from the OpenAI and the cheapest model from OpenAI. It is very fast and powerful. In comparison with GPT-4o, the result of GPT-4o mini is good. So here you have to write comma model equals to model, because we have selected our model in above variable. Tools equals to tools is the tools we want to use in this assistant. We can give it like function calling tools, code interpreter tool, and the knowledge retrieval or vector store tool. For this video, I'm going giving here the self-taught functions and function list to this assistant for our function calling task. And here we are writing assistant id equals to assistant.id. Okay, this variable will contain the assistant id, and here we are going to print that assistant id. Print assistant id. Okay, I think this create assistant function is completed. Okay, this function will give us the assistant id, and we are going to copy that assistant id and paste in our code. Okay, I think the tools equals to self function. I'm not writing here. I will modify this assistant in future when we will create modify assistant function, because now we don't have any functions. Okay, we don't have any function defined in our functions variable. So I think let's delete it, and that's all. We have to write till the model equals to model, and assistant id equal to assistant.id, print assistant id. Okay, let's run this code. Okay, to run this code we have to first define our class. Okay, we can write assistant equal to assistant in bracket, a capital assistant equals to assistant in brackets, and next line we have to run a function of create assistant. To run this function we can write assistant dot create assistant, and this function does not have any arguments. Assistant dot create assistant. Okay, I think this is completed. Okay, this code will give us the assistant id, so let's run this code. Please note you have to paste your OpenAI API key. It's needed for this. Okay, code is running. It's taking time due to your network and the machine in which we are working. Okay guys, this is our assistant ID, which is started from ASST, and this is the assistant ID from ASS to VF. Okay, I copied it. Let's paste in this assistant ID here. Assistant equals to, in double quote you have to paste this ID. Now this our assistant ID variable is completed. So our assistant is created with name alpha and some instruction. We can modify this assistant when we want. Okay, I will write some other function for assistant, like modifying assistant and retrieve assistant, some other functions. Okay, let's write it. So guys, please paste that assistant ID in assistant ID variable. Okay, let's create the next function. Just retrieve assistant serve. Okay, from now onwards, every assistant function will take assistant ID, and we have defined assistant ID in our code. Okay, so my assistant equal to client.beta.assistants.retrieve. In bracket, we have to give the assistant ID, and this is our assistant ID. Assistant ID is assistant ID. Okay, next we are going to print my assistant. This will give us the information about my assistant. Okay, let's run this function. Okay, assistant equal to assistant and assistant dot retrieve assistant. Okay, let's run this code. Guys, assistant API is very powerful for getting assistants. This is the response from assistant retrieve. The response are this: assistant ID equal to this, created at this is timestamp, description none, instruction is URL from a personal assistant in name. Okay guys, you can copy this if you want info about your assistant. Let's color it and create our next function. Guys, I will provide all code from this video, and I will provide a link in description. You can copy this code from my GitHub repository with code with AI name. Okay, let's create the next function, modify assistant. Okay, this function will also take the arguments, not arguments, the data from create assistant function, like name, instruction, if you want to change. Okay, my updated assistant equals to client we have to provide name, instruction and model also in this modify assistant function, because we are going to modifying the function. Sorry, we are going to modify the assistant that we have created with assistant ID, whatever you want. Okay, let's write this client.beta.assistants.update. In brackets we have to give the instructions, like first is the assistant ID equal to assistant ID, comma, and instructions equals to, in double quote, You have to write the instruction whatever you want, like here I'm writing you are alpha my personal assistant. Okay, next we have to write the I think name of the assistant. Okay, name equals to in double quote alpha. We can also update the name of our assistant if you want. Okay, from this modify assistant function. And now we are going to give the tools, because uh, after this we are going to give some functions to assistant. Okay, tools equals to self dot. Okay, here is we have to select also the model equals to model, and tools equals to self dot functions. Okay, and we are going to the functions dictionary key, and the value is of the empty dictionary, or in the future we will append our functions info in that functions empty list. Okay, that's our modify assistant function is completed now. This will modify our assistant. Okay, we have created three functions from assistant. So let's write here in a variable, oh sorry, let's write a comment here assistant. Okay, I think the assistant part is now completed. Next part is threads. Okay, assistant API contain four parts: assistant, threads, messages, and run. Okay, so in threads we have to create some functions. First function is create thread. This function will create the thread and give us the thread ID, and we are going to update our thread ID that we have written in our self.thread ID in our initialize function. So let's complete this function. Thread equals to client.beta threads dot create, and after that we have to give self dot thread id equals to thread dot id. This will update our self dot thread id variable to the latest thread id which we will create after running this function. Okay, next function is, okay, I think delete thread, because we also have to delete thread after we are going to exit this chatbot or this file. So let's create a delete thread function. Okay, here is response equals to client.beta dot threads dot delete in bracket you have to give the thread id, and the thread id is self dot thread id. Next we are going to give a print command, print thread deleted successfully. Okay, after the thread is deleted this function will print thread deleted successfully, and we will know that our thread is deleted from OpenAI server. Okay, thread help us to retrieve the information of the previous messages, and helps the model to know more about our chats. Okay, next part is messages. Okay guys, in messages part we also have to create some functions. So let's create our first messages function, which is add message. This function will add message in our created thread, okay, with thread id self dot thread id. So let's add message self, and user input is the actual message we want to add in our threads, okay. User input will be the actual prompt for our models, okay. So let's complete this function. Message equals to client dot beta dot threads dot messages dot grid. In brackets we have to give the thread id, I think. A thread id equals to self dot thread id. In comma we have to give we have to specify the role of our message. Role is user, okay. This is the user message we want to add in our thread. And content is content equal to user input, okay, the actual prompt from the user. Okay, role, content, and thread id. Okay, I think it's completed. Okay, this function will add the messages from the user to our created thread. Next we are going to write a function to get the latest message from our thread, okay. Latest message from the assistant, from the model, from the OpenAI model, okay. So get message function, here we have to write messages equal to client dot beta dot threads dot messages dot list. And this will take an argument of self dot thread id, okay. And output equals to messages dot data 0 at the 0th element dot content dot text dot value, okay. Content is also the 0th element, okay, dot text dot value, okay. Output is the latest message in our threads, okay. And return output, okay. So I think this function is completed. I think the messages part is completed. Now we have completed assistant, threads, and messages part, okay. Now the remaining part is run, okay. Let's write a comment. Okay, in comments we have to write runs, okay. This, now we are going to create some runs function, okay. Okay, def run assistant. This function will run assistant with our thread to get the result from OpenAI models. Our model is GPT-4o mini. So let's create this function. Run equals to client.beta dot assistants and not assistant, I think threads, because we are going to run that threads, okay. So client.beta dot threads dot runs dot create, we are going to create a run, okay, with thread id equals to self dot thread id, comma, and we have also to give here the assistant id, okay. Assistant id equals to assistant id, which is same from our above code, comma and instruction. We can also give the instruction in run. Okay, like I'm giving here the instruction like to the model, like reply in brief. So model will reply in brief. So I think this is completed, and return run dot id. Run id is also needed for the future works. Okay, let's know how run id is needed. Next, we are going to create a retrieve run function. This will retrieve the run status function that takes an argument of run id, and our run id we will get from the run assistant function. Okay, let's complete this function. Run equals to client dot beta dot threads dot runs dot retrieve. Okay, in bracket we have to give thread id, self dot thread id, and run id. Run id equals to run id from the function arguments, and return run. Okay, this function also return the run. Okay, okay, I think now we have to create two more functions which I am specifying, like hash run steps. Okay, run steps is needed for our function calling tools. Okay, so let's create two function in run steps part. Okay, def run require action and self dot run and comma run id. Okay, run require action will take two arguments, run and run id. We will get these two arguments from above two functions. Okay, so let's complete this function. Tool output, this is a very complex function. Okay, so please listen carefully. Tool outputs equals to empty list. Okay, this is empty list because this will contain the responses from the function. Okay, if run dot required, okay, underscore action, if run dot required action, then tool outputs, yeah, okay, not tool outputs, tool calls equals to run dot required underscore action dot submit underscore tool outputs. Okay, this line will submit the tool outputs. Okay, now tool outputs is empty for now. Next, okay, this function is relatively same from like in chat completion API in function calling. You can watch my previous video. Okay, if you want to know about function calling in chat completion. Okay, for tool calls, not tool calls. Okay, for tool call in tool calls, tool calls is equal to run dot require submit tool output. Okay, for tool call in tool calls, function name equals to, okay, this will get the function name from the model, tool call dot function name. This function name we will get from the model, the function name which the model want to call. Okay, next we have to get the arguments, the function arguments. Okay, function underscore, okay, not function argument. First we have to write a line of function to call equals to self dot registered function dot get function name. Now we are uh, checking that the function to call is true for our registered function or not. Okay, if function to call is true, then function arguments or function args equals to okay JSON dot loads, in bracket we have to give tool call dot function dot arguments. Okay, this line will get the function arguments the model is provided. Okay, the model will provide the function argument and we will get from this line to run our function in our code and get the response to the model. So next we have to write function dot, not function dot, not function response equals to function to call in brackets double star and function argument. Okay, double star will take the arguments number which is required by the function. Okay, this is function response. This response we will get from after calling the function in our code. Okay, next we have to append the function response to our tool outputs, the empty list. Okay, tool outputs dot append a dictionary element with tool call id is tool call dot id comma and I think output is function response. Okay, I think now tool outputs is completed. This code will append every response from every function to our tool outputs list. Okay, and we will give that tool outputs list to the model. Okay, in next code in the blow of for tool call id, for tool call in tool calls we have to write run equals to client dot beta dot threads dot runs dot submit tool outputs. Okay, in bracket we have to give thread id is equals to self dot thread id comma run id equals to run id and tool outputs equals to tool outputs, the list. Okay, okay, this is run steps first function. Next next we have to create the last run step function which is required for running the actual assistant. Okay, so we will give that function in name of assistant API function. Okay, assistant API. This function will work the final work. This function will work for our final work, and this function is very needed to run a assistant perfectly. So let's complete this function. Self dot modify assistant. Okay, first we have to modify the assistant with our tool choice. Okay, with our functions info, and after that we have to get the run id equals to self dot run assistant function. Okay, next we have to get the run equal to self dot retrieve run. In bracket we have to give the run id, because this will take the argument of run id. Okay, 3 lines is completed for this. Next we have to create a while loop. While run dot status equals to uh, require action. If run dot status equals to require action or queue. Okay, if our run status is require action or queue. Require action is something like model want to call a function. Okay, and if run is queue, yeah, this means run is in a queue. Next we have to write a line, run equal to self dot retrieve run id. Okay, this while loop will go in a loop if run is status equal to require action. This will work if we have a parallel function, if we have more function and want to call two function at once. Okay, on the second line we have to break this while loop. If run dot status equals to completed, then this while loop will break. Okay, next we have to write a line below the if self dot run require action. Now we are going to call that run require action function. That takes an argument of run id, and that's all. After that, outputs equals to, like in our chat completion API, we are now getting output from assistant API. Outputs equal to self dot get message. Now we are calling that get message function that get the latest message from our threads. And tokens equals to run dot usage dot total tokens. This will provide the total token used in our chat or used in our thread. Return outputs and tokens. Okay, this assistant API function is now completed. This is the main function uh, that help us to run an assistant from OpenAI. Okay, next we have to copy some code from our alpha.py. I'm copying this code because this takes too much time. You can also copy this code. This is the function decorator that I have created in my previous video of alpha, a personal assistant. You can also copy this from my code with AI GitHub repository. From you can also copy this code because I'm going to provide the link for this code in description. After pasting the decorator, This function add func decorator, or this function will take the information from our functions to the function variable that I have created first. Okay, next we have to copy this speak function from our alpha.py. This speak function is needed to give a character by character interface in my terminal. Okay, you can also copy this. After that you have to copy this get current date and time function and last code of our alpha.py. Okay, I will explain this you in this video. After pasting this, let's see our code. We have copy the class method function of add func a decorator from our alpha.py. Okay, this will takes the function info. Next we copy our speak function and get current date and time function, and this is our at the rate alpha dot. This is our last code. We have to modify it for our class. Okay, AI equals to assistant because our class is assistant. Our class name is assistant. Next, AI dot create thread will create the thread, and while true user input equals to input, and if user input equals to 0, the code will break. Prompt equal to user input, and AI dot add message. Okay, this will add the user message to our thread. Next we have to delete that line, and here we have to write AI dot assistant API. Now we are going to call that assistant API function that call all the function behind. Okay, third line is AI dot speak function that give us a character by character animation in our terminal. Finally, AI dot delete thread. This will delete the thread after we enter 0 in our user input. Okay guys, you can copy this code from our alpha.py. You can also copy this code, this whole code from the link in description. So this time to test this assistant API code. Let's look up this code from the above, and I think this is completed code for our assistant API. We have completed threads, assistant, messages, runs, and runs steps parts. After that we paste some functions like add function, speak function, and get current date and time function. Okay, we have to also modify this function at the rate assistant dot add function because our class name is assistant. Okay, please note it that. And after that here is our if name equals to main. This is our last part of our code. Okay, I think it's completed. Let's run this Python file in our terminal. Okay, see the actual work of this code. Okay, I think this code is working. Let's say a hello to our alpha assistant. Hello, who are you? It's taking time. Okay, let's wait for the responses from alpha. Okay, this is alpha response, and the character by character animation are good. I am an AI assistant here to help you with information and tasks. How can I assist you today? Next, I'm going to ask the name. Okay, what's your name? Okay, alpha responding that I don't have a personal name, but you can call me assistant. Okay, this is called hallucination because I provided name alpha to our assistant. Next, I am going to call a function, that date and time function. Okay, what is date and time now? And if alpha is able to get the real time date and time, then alpha use that function from our code to get the real time date and time. Okay, let's wait for the response from alpha. I'm waiting alpha, please do fast. Okay, this is response from alpha. Today's date is July 26, 2024 and time is 4:14 p.m. and token use 772. This is correct date and time. So this verify that alpha call that function. Okay, guys, I think this is the end of our video. And if you want to know how to create this assistant from OpenAI dashboard or OpenAI website, you can watch my videos. I will make videos on OpenAI website creation of assistant API in OpenAI website. So you can subscribe my channel for other videos. I recently made a video on alpha, my personal assistant. Okay, alpha is saying something to you guys. Please read it. If you enjoy this content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Okay, this is completed code. Now I'm going to commit this code to our code with AI GitHub repository. Okay, so you can copy this code from our website. First, I'm going to erase that line from keys.openai. Here you have to paste your OpenAI API key. You can watch my video on how to create OpenAI API key. I will provide the link in description. Here you have to paste your assistant ID. Okay, don't forget to paste your assistant ID in OpenAI key so that this code will work. So I think this is 151 lines of code for assistant API, and in this video we have covered basic concept from assistant API and some advanced function calling concept from assistant API. Okay, so let's add this file assistant API tutorial.py in our commit and give a commit message assistant API tutorial and commit this code. Okay, first we have to save this. Okay, let's press on commit. Now our code is committed. Okay, I think I have to do it again. Okay, now our code is committed. Next we have to push this code to our GitHub repository so you are able to copy this. So guys, thank you for watching my video, and if you enjoy this video and if you able to get information from this video, please like and share this video. And guys, please help me to grow this channel, so subscribe my channel. Thank you for watching.